Well, let's move on with a look at the headlines in the French newspapers today with Flo Villamino. Hi there, Flo.
Hi, Kat.
Lots of shock, really, we can say, in the French press today over these allegations that have surfaced against French soldiers sent as peacekeepers to the Central African Republic.
That's right. Now, this story was leaked yesterday in an article in The Guardian. So let's actually start with that article. Now, it's talking about a senior UN AIDS worker, Anders Campus, who was suspended. Why was he suspended? Well, he disclosed to prosecutors an internal report on sexual abuse of children, allegedly by French peacekeepers in the Central African Republic. So a former French colony. And as you said, there is really a lot of shock, a lot of emotion in the French press today. Let's take a look at the front page of Le Parisien aujourd'hui en France. You can see here, they're talking about the French army is at the heart of a scandal. And inside aujourd'hui en France, Le Parisien says it as it is. French soldiers are accused of rape.
And the paper's really catching up on the details of these accusations.
That's right. Lots of papers are focusing on the details. Now, Libération points out, for instance, that the leaked UN report says that at least 10 children were abused, all boys. This took place at the Mpoko airport in the capital, Bangui, so between December 2013 and last June. Now, at the time, the airport had become somewhat of a refugee camp for people fleeing sectarian violence, and it was being guarded by French troops that were posted there as part of this peacekeeping operation known as Opération Sangaris. Now, last summer, a report was sent to the UN, and Libération quotes a source from UNICEF. UNICEF is the United Nations Children's Fund, who says that somewhere along the way, someone decided to bury this report. Now, whether the report was buried out of incompetence or bad faith, that's really the key question, but it's because of the fact that the report was buried that UN aid worker decided to leak it.
And as we said, plenty of people, newspapers, shocked at these allegations. And as you say, those allegations that it was indeed buried. We'll move on for now, though, to another story that's getting a lot of attention here in France. French authorities have stepped up their efforts to overturn the death sentence of Serge Atlaoui. Now, he's the French national who had been due to be executed in Indonesia along with those other 8 prisoners this week.
That's right. He's appealed that execution case. Now, if his fate does remain unknown, if he is put to death, that would make him the first French citizen to be executed since 1977. And so Libération today takes the opportunity to really put the spotlight on capital punishment. Libération is very much against capital punishment. Let's take a look inside. Libération looks at the figures from Beijing to Java, assassinations in the name of the law. Last year, 607 people were executed in 22 countries. Now, Le Monde is also focusing on this, has a map with the most executions in the world. Iran tops the list with 1,972 executions between 2009 and 2014. Then comes Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and the United States. But those are the statistics we know. There are a lot of countries we don't know their statistics, including North Korea and China. And Libération and Le Monde point out that some specialists say that in China alone, there could be up to 10,000 executions every year.
Now, here in France, capital punishment was abolished in 1981. Very, very recent, it seems. That doesn't mean, though, that public opinion is entirely against it. Some people want to see it brought back.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at a pretty shocking report in Libération. It points out that 1 out of 2 French people regret the guillotine. Now, this is a recent study that was carried out that says that 50% of French people want to bring back the death penalty. Now, what's interesting is that's a 3-point increase since December 2014. Bear in mind that in January, France experienced the Charlie Hebdo terror attack, so perhaps that can explain the point jump there.
One party has vowed to bring back the death penalty if they come to power, the far-right National Front. And tomorrow the party will be holding some rallies, traditional for them, on May Day.
Absolutely. Now, there's been a major falling out within the Le Pen family, the leader of the National Front, Marine Le Pen, and her father, Jean-Marie, you can see here, who founded the party. They had this major falling out recently. So it's going to be a tense May 1st for the Le Pens. Usually they march side by side to a statue of Jeanne d'Arc in the center of Paris. Big parade for them. Now, this year, Jean-Marie has vowed to take part in that march, and he'll be allowed to march, but he won't be allowed to make a speech.
Okay. Now, May Day is a very particular event here in France, so maybe you could tell us a bit more about what it means to France, and the newspaper's reflecting on how that meaning is changing a little bit as well.
Exactly. Well, May Day is Labor Day. Traditionally, trade unions hold a big march throughout major cities here in France.
Everyone gets a day off.
Everyone
except
gets a day,
us.
except for us. We'll be here tomorrow. Now, Le Figaro points out that things are changing. There's a major lack of trust these days between French people and trade unions. According to a poll in Le Figaro today, 2 out of 3 people don't feel like trade unions are actually representative of workers. Now, not only that, but trade unions amongst themselves are facing a lot of divisions. There are lots of trade unions here in France. Usually on May Day, they hold this big united march and march for something, for instance, a minimum wage or things like that. But this year, they're not going to march together. They're all divided. They're going to hold all sorts of separate marches. So it's going to be quite a divided day for the trade union. So you can see La Croix today, they're wondering, does the May Day rally, does it still make sense?
And it is indeed the start of a month of bank holidays here in France. I'm sure you have plenty more to tell us about throughout the month. Thanks very much for now. Flo Villamino there, looking through the French press for us.